Thank you for tuning in to Powerful Impact podcast, where we interview people who had a powerful impact on the community, music, or the culture at large. I am your host, Sorag. Joining me tonight will be SP and Neb. And this evening, we have the honor to interview Uptown XO from the legendary group, the Diamond District. First of all, we definitely want to hear your story, and we want to get to know more about you tonight. But I just want to ask the question that is common among us as human beings. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, man, I'm great, man. How
y'all doing? We're doing good. We're glad to have you here tonight, and we got a lot to talk about because I know you got some new music that's dropped recently. And not only that, we want to just hear about your story. And like I said before, this is about a conversation. You know what I'm saying? This is about having a conversation for everybody to get to know you and for your fans to get to know you even deeper than what they know tonight. So that's what we're going to explore tonight. So I'm going to start it off with the first question. And the question I have tonight, where are you from and how did that shape you as a person and as an artist?
I'm from Uptown, Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And, growing up in the city, you know, both my parents, they were musicians. They both went to Howard. So that really shaped who I am as an artist. And, you know, like they was young when they had me. Like my father was 22, my mother was 23, and they was still in school. So if you think of like almost like a school days mixed with what's that movie Nick Cannon was in, Drumline?
Oh yeah, Drumline, yeah.
Mix that together in the 80s, early 90s. That was like my mother's and father's life. And you know, I was right there in the mix with all that. So like after school, you know, I would be around them, you know, college kids, you know, sitting in while they debate about this and that, or you know, sitting in on rehearsals with the band. They both played in Howard's band.
Okay.
So even you know, later on when they graduated, my mom graduated from UDC, my pops graduated from Howard. But being as though they both went to Howard and they both had that rapport in the music department, fine arts. You know, every year I was going to the Howard homecoming, sitting right next to the band. You know what I'm saying? Getting that exclusive access to the artistry. You know what I'm saying? And exclusive access to witness the discipline that like kept a lot of people safe. You know what I'm saying? These disciplines outside of sports. You know, because I was an athlete too. You know what I mean? But between music and the sports, like that's what really like kept me out of trouble growing up in DC in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the thing I love about what you said, you talked about their experience at Howard University, which is a black college, and a lot of great people came from Howard University. One of them we know today as Puff Daddy or P. Diddy, whichever name you want to use, because he used it interchangeably. But there were a lot of people that were iconic to the hip hop culture that came from Howard University. And the other thing I want to talk about as well, you know, is your upbringing as far as your father. He toured with Gil Scott-Heron, and your mother played with one of the gospel greats, Richard Smallwood. And you're also related to the singing legend David Ruffin. So speak to that because you got a rich experience in the music culture. And I just want you to elaborate on that because I want you to hold back. You got a lot to talk about. So let's touch on that a little bit if you don't mind.
And the reason why my pops was playing drums because my grandfather, his father was one of the first. We managed one of the first go-go bands, the Young Singers. So while the sound was cultivating, almost like how I guess like you could say how between jazz and James Brown and Harlem the Funkadelic and the funk era combined and made hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Mixed with like, you know, the Jamaican culture. Because even when you look at the verses, that's like a Jamaican style performance as far as like a mashup. True. That's what they call it. A mashup. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what that's what influenced me early. You know what I mean? Like this being around all the music and yeah.
Do you think that So what about Gil Scott Heron? I know your father toured with him. Did he have any influence on you in your early stages as you formulated
No,
your thought
no,
process of music? Or
no,
what about okay, no problem.
no.
But what about
Early, but later
okay,
because
yeah.
because I was just talking to one of my friends about this that
Mm-hmm.
like my pops wasn't around like that growing
Mm-hmm.
up,
Okay.
but and I had that that statistic animosity, you know what I'm saying,
Of
that
course.
a young man has when his
Yeah,
dad is not,
yeah, yeah.
and all that. We clashed a lot, hearing
Mm-hmm.
my mother talk about certain things and having a viewpoint of him. It just wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
good when I was younger, but then growing up, maturing, living life, and just hearing the story, I gained a lot of understanding, which
Mm-hmm.
made me be like, yo, yeah, like, all right, I see what you was doing. I wouldn't have made some of the same decisions, whatever, but it's like I still love you, my pops, and you know what I'm saying, I ain't
Mm-hmm.
holding nothing against you for doing
Mm-hmm.
which for doing you. You know what I'm saying? How you did it.
Word.
Because I wouldn't have been me if he was more involved in that way anyway. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be who I
Feel
am.
you. Yeah.
So I needed that freedom, I guess, to become my own man. And he still was around. It wasn't like he was completely absent. You know what I'm saying? He
Mm-hmm.
did do a lot for me when he was around, and he did do a lot for me. So I don't want to discredit him for that, but
Okay.
it was a period of time when he moved to London
Mm-hmm.
um, when I was 12.
Okay.
And then, like, after that, it was like boom. You know what I mean? Like, I only saw him
Feel you.
like one time a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it was like I was, you know, that was like a thing. You know what I'm saying? But
I
like,
feel you. I feel you.
yeah. But it's like I understand now. He's an artist. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
sometimes, when you have like self determination,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that can engulf a person's time,
Mm-hmm.
their self determination. So as I grew older, I understood that. You know what I'm saying? I understood his
Mm-hmm.
story. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
his father's story and why certain things happen, and I understand why I reacted the way I reacted. But now, we like, my pops is my homie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
And it's good to feel. Yeah, and it's good to see that you
I
built that
think
relationship with him over the years. Oh, go ahead, SP.
I think it's also good to talk about that kind of stuff because
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
it's a lot of times that people are afraid to say, "Hey, my parents wasn't always the grandparents that you see," and it takes a while to get to a point where you can look at their lives with empathy. So
yeah,
it's good that you finally got to that point where you can see them as not just parents, but human beings who
yeah.
have the same flaws and make the same mistakes as everyone else.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, and I appreciate that because I have an upbringing where I didn't have my father in my life, and I
yeah,
think that that shaped me to who I am because I'm an artist today. I do
yeah,
hip hop, but he was a singer. He was growing up in that Al Green era. That's saying that's the type of music he was doing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I didn't get the chance to share that legacy with him because I wasn't a part of it. I was
yeah,
pretty much separated from that. And then unfortunately, he was incarcerated since I was 5 and been there ever since. So I never had
yeah,
that chance to experience that legacy with him. But fortunately, being a father, my desire is to share that with my son. That way he can experience what I hungered for. So
yeah.
again, like SPC, I'm so glad that you built that rapport with your father and how the situation is going forward. And I want to bring it back to SP so that way you can
Mhm.
continue with your question.
So you mentioned that you finally got an understanding
Yeah,
um, of what your father was doing, being an artist yourself.
hmm
Um, how do you navigate life so that you don't repeat the cycle and make those same kind of mistakes?
man, you it's the spiritual understanding, the meaning of life. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not here to be consumed by our vanity. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to our creation. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why even with the music that I create, it's really not about me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's about the truth that comes from uh, our culture. I guess you could say of indigenous people, and my album is called Culture Over Corporate, man, and the corporations is the reason why we live in the way we live in.
Mm-hmm.
This that structure, that mindset that comes with uh, that order, this way of life that we're living. Which was meant to be, but it's like, yo, the truth still must be preserved as time goes on like this. You know what I mean? So this is my art. I have to, preserve that truth. You know what I mean? It's not about like even my story of growing up. I used to write about that, like, it was therapeutic writing about things I went through with my father and my mother and how we grew up
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But now it's not even about my story. It's about our story as a people, as an oppressed people,
Mm-hmm.
and preserving um, that truth. You know what I mean? So that the next generation can care about fighting oppression. You know what I'm saying? Standing up to
Mm-hmm.
oppression. You know?
So, it's always remarkable to me that people look at what's going on in life and they don't see how the puppet, the man behind the strings, and
Yeah,
that we're all just running in this circle of you did this and you're this phobic and this phobic and you're racist and you're this and you're
Mm-hmm.
that, but it's a ploy to plot us against each other because we all the same kind of broke.
yeah,
But if you could find somebody to be beneath you, then you feel a little better about your circumstances. Um,
yeah.
when you sit and make your music, are
Hmm.
you able to see all the sides of the story you're telling? Um, and make it to a point where there are no victims, but actually just people.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the victims um, are the ones who actually preserve the truth. Unfortunately, you look back at time and you look like Malcolm X. He's
Hmm.
definitely a victim. All he was trying to do was preserve some sort of truth that uh, the people that set this way of life up, they trying to get rid of certain truths. They trying to replace and redefine certain truths that's been here for a long time, like our equality. You know,
Hmm.
um, so
But do you look at Malcolm X as a victim or more of a martyr? Because when I think about him and Martin Luther King, I don't like to
yeah,
think of them as victims. I think they were sacrificial lambs in order to stop any movement you cut off the head, right?
yeah, and that's like that's that's definitely what I subscribe to. Definitely, I'm definitely subscribing to like that completely, and yeah, so um, I remember when I watched Malcolm X in '93 when it first came out when I was a young kid,
Mm-hmm.
and that right there from the Spike Lee movie, and that right there like just turned me out right there. Like I already knew who I wanted to be. You know what I mean? As far as like like unconsciously. Yeah.
what exactly is DMV? Like, what is your perspective on that? Could you just share some light on that?
DMV is a word that will it's a word that makes a person like it's back in the day if somebody was from like Silver Spring, Maryland, that's like right outside DC, and they was out of town, and somebody was like, "Where you from?" They would say DC, but they really not from DC. So now the word DMV has been created, so people like that can be like, "Yo, I'm from the DMV," and now people identify that term with this region. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I love about
DC? A person from DC is never gonna say that they from the DMV. They gonna be like, "I'm from DC."
Well, that's true.
Uptown,
word.
Southeast, Northeast, or Southwest. They ain't gonna. I'm from DMV. That's like DC, Maryland, Virginia. You know what I mean? Like we don't do that here.
You know, one thing I'm glad about having you here tonight is that, you know, the beautiful thing about Powaful Impak is that we're not so focused on a certain region. Like, you know, some regions they want to focus only on the West Coast, or they only want to focus on MCs in the New York. But I'm glad that we have a chance to highlight the DMV area because there are a lot of talent.
Where y'all located?
Oh, I'm in Florida. That's where I'm from. I'm from Florida.
Okay.
Even though it may not seem like it, but I'm from Florida. And SP, you can tell them.
I'm in Texas.
And then
don't I sound like I'm in Texas?
Yeah, where you from?
I'm from New York.
Yeah. You see, you can tell you're from New York because he's singing about it. You know what I mean?
No.
Can you kind of just explain the differences and similarities between the areas musically and culturally? Like, you know, like you said before, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Now, I know that if we talk about Virginia, we talk about the Missy Elliott's, we talk about the Timberlands, and I'm sure there are many others that are in that area, but I want you to share from your experience as far as the talent, and of course, we're familiar with your music and Diamond District, which we'll get into later, but I want you to just kind of elaborate on that a little more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, when you get to that part of Virginia where Missy and Timberland from, that's a completely different culture, completely different accent. That's like when you get down there, you kind of really in the South once you get down there. Even though Virginia is not really considered like the South, but it's like that's when you hear like you undeniably in the South once you get to that part of Virginia. Now, when it comes to Northern Virginia, the very tip that's right outside DC, they're influenced by our culture from DC. Now, right outside DC in Maryland, in PG County, in Montgomery County, they're influenced by our culture, just like Westchester County in New York, where Yonkers is influenced by New York City. You know what I mean? So, in Jersey really is influenced by like New York City. So it's like that culture, even all the way down to Philly. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that's a Philly, Jersey, New York. They got their own thing. That when you go further up, Boston and New Connecticut, that's their own thing. Well, really, Connecticut is a part of the New York tri-state area. For the Boston, that's a whole different thing. You know what I mean? So every 4 hours you're gonna get a different culture, different vibe. You know, I think that's what's so beautiful about people. If you go 4 hours this way, you're gonna find a completely different food, culture, vibe, music, everything. 4 hours up the road that way. If you go 4 hours up the road that way, you're gonna find completely different culture, vibe, music. You go up Baltimore, completely different culture, vibe, music. Even though with some similarities that you can be like, okay, they may be cousins. From DC, Baltimore, Philly, it's like we got like some similarities. And then Philly, Baltimore, Philly, New York, they all got like certain similarities. Then from like New York to Boston, they got certain similarities. You know what I'm saying? Like we related in that way. And then you take it down south from DC to North Carolina, that's a whole different vibe. Like a lot of people from DC came from North Carolina, South Carolina originally. But when you go to South Carolina to Florida, you know, that's a whole different vibe too, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
You know
absolutely.
So we just beautiful like that, man. Our culture is beautiful, man. But
yeah, it is.
That's how I go for. That's how I go for the area though. Like 30 minutes up the road, Baltimore, but it's like it's different. You know what I'm saying? Very different.
So Uptown, let me ask. Oh, sorry. Finish up Uptown. My bad.
Back in the day, we used to go right outside of the city into just because we was in a different state. We thinking like we so far from home. You know what I mean? So that still was remnants of like the sense of pride that we had. Like we ain't DMV, but Maryland right there, and Virginia is like right here. But still, it's like the culture come from here though, so it's like we still got that pride. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you step over the line, it's like you're not home, but you're so close to home. How can you not be home? But it's like you're really not home. I can't explain it.
No, I understand where you're coming from. Now,
yeah, I guess my question with that a little more further why I wanted to ask is because like in New York, like you said, Jersey has a slightly different sound than the New York MCs. Uptown is and the sound, right? So when it comes to DC, you have the go-go thing, right? Then you got the history of Marvin Gaye, Chocolate City, the singing going on, right?
Yeah.
Then now Maryland has its own, I guess, vibe. Virginia, I didn't even think of it. North Virginia versus Southern Virginia. I went to Hampton University, and you're definitely right. There's a difference between Northern, but I didn't even think of that. So just asking you, like, gumbo-wise and sound-wise, what do you think that little trifecta where you are right there, which I guess is technically the Diamond District, right, or whatever. Like, how did that influence the sound, the production? You know what I mean? Especially when y'all come together as a trio. I guess that really was my question.
With Diamond District, well, that's well, being as though that we are a go-go city, the culture of hip hop, as far as like breakdancing and all that, we was on that, but like that's not what like the hardcore DC dudes subscribe to. You know what I'm saying? Like you was on some like back in the day, you know, when Alpo was the vibe, the whole city didn't mess with like New York when Alpo paid in full, when that was really going on in real life. All the way down to the kids. The kids ain't even had nothing to do with it. We still was like, man, y'all on some New York shit. We ain't with that. Like literally, that's how it was. Nobody was like trying to rap. You know what I mean?
Luncheon.
So when guys like us, me and Odyssey and YU, who all come up from different backgrounds, stuff like that. We just met being on that same path. It was an open mic at a record store, and I was going there to rap, but it was also a record store, guys in there digging in the crates looking for samples to make beats. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that is like, you know, that's a culture that's like comes with hip hop. Hip hop comes from New York. You know what I'm saying? DC go-go culture, you know, you may have a dude that's from the streets, a raw dude from in the streets, but he's a musician. You know what I'm saying? Then he may be a popular musician, but he's still like a street dude. You know what I'm saying? Like Fly. You know what I mean? Like it would be that type of vibe. You know what I'm saying? Almost like Mo Better Blues mixed with New Jack City. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's dope.
Nah, for real.
Damn, I like that.
No, like,
yeah, I like that description.
That's a ill. That's
we also musicians here. You know what I'm saying? Like I played like 3 instruments when I was young. I grew up, you know, both my parents was musicians, so that was like a common thing. You was about to ask a question, SP.
That was my question. What instruments do you play?
Oh, a little bit of piano, trumpet, and drums. Just a little bit, you know what I mean? But I never mastered the craft, so I don't even say that I played. I don't even claim that I really play those instruments, because like to really say that, like I feel as though you have to like actually master that craft, subscribe to that discipline every day.
Two questions, Uptown, for you. Number one, how do you think that influences the music that you make? Even if you haven't mastered it, just how do you think that helps you with timing? And then number two, what is the Universal Madness Boutique? Those are the two questions I have.
Well, that definitely helped with my timing and the way I make music and the input I have with production. So when you hear Diamond District, Streets Won't Let Me Chill, that's like a hip hop go-go record. And when Wale came out, I used to work with Wale. I used to be hype man for Wale back in the day too. He was working with some producers that had like a different style of go-go production where they sampled the go-go record almost like a DJ Premier would sample or Q-Tip would sample a jazz record. So nobody was sampling go-go records like that and really making, making like rap songs and stuff like that. So that was like a new thing. So, I remember I bought a Backyard CD, the Odyssey, when we first started like linking up and making music. And this song I did called Riding, which is on this album. I think it's called Mental Liberation, I believe, something like that.
Yes, sir. 101.
Yeah.
This shit's fire.
Riding. I got Big G from Backyard Band. I got his voice in there. I sampled it, you know what I mean? And that was like one of the songs back then when I was young and I was buzzing around the city because it was just different, you know what I mean? People never heard Big G from The Wire, if y'all know. Slim Charles from The Wire is Big G. Anwar Glover. He played in The Wire. That's what, like, I guess most people outside the city would know him for. But in the city, he's a legend. One of the kings of go-go. You know, almost Marion Burry status Big G got. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So sample his voice and, you know, over those hardcore hip-hop drums. And, like, you know, like nobody ever heard that way before. So that, like, did a lot. And that was just the production alone made the record interesting. You know what I mean? And then the storytelling I was doing over and all that. But that was like, that was a wave. And then Wale's sound, how that came out with Tone P, Best Kept Secret. I did an album with them called Real Matic. You know what I mean? Back in the day. Yeah, we just developed a new sound, incorporated go-go with hip-hop. You know what I'm saying?
Beyonce was one of the first that I saw cross over with that. I wanna.
Actually,
that was one of the first. Oh, sorry, A. Marie. Yeah, my bad. A. Marie. Then didn't
Marie,
be.
then it was Beyonce. It was A. Marie, and then it was Beyonce.
Got you. I'm singing A. Marie. I'm messing up. Yes. Those are some of the first times that I hear go-go like cross over into quote unquote R&B and like, you know, playing on BET and stuff like that. Because I had heard about it 10, 15 years before in college, and then I started seeing on TV, and I'm like, wow, this wave is still going.
And then you asked me another question about
Universal Madness.
Oh, word! I like that.
What is the bucket hat? The EPMD joint.
That's
Universal Madness.
Yo, that's dope.
Now, when you see this hat right here, like,
mm-hmm.
Now I used to live above the Madness shop right on Georgia and Kenyon.
Okay.
And I used to live right upstairs from the Madness shop. The Madness shop is one of the first streetwear brands that came out. So when you look at stuff like Stussy or what is Supreme, this is a brand that was like
and Stussy, you got it.
Yeah, and Stussy. This was a brand that was like those brands, streetwear brands. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at streetwear, a person could look at Madness and know like where you was from. Like everybody uptown where I'm at, we wore Madness. You know what I'm saying? Then like on the Northeast side, they wore a clothing line named All Days. That's like Kurt Bone, who used to be with Rayful Evans. That's his clothing line. The guys in Northeast was wearing that. Guys in Southeast, they was wearing Hobo or Shooters. You know what I'm saying? So young black entrepreneurship and just being in the streets and making the transition to legitimacy. That was like that was a subtle um, a blueprint that was given to us by these streetwear brands. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Dope.
Because
Thanks
like
a lot, man.
all of the guys was like street guys. You know what I'm saying?
That hat is dope.
I like that hat though. That hat is dope though, for real. That's real talk.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you a question about the Diamond District. How did the Diamond District form and eventually come together as a group?
Yeah, like I said, I was rapping on U and 11th Street when I was like 16, and I was going every Friday because it was all ages. That was the only like all ages spot that was popping in the city for like young artists. And me and my homies used to go there and just rip it, battle whoever. And that was like from the transition from the go-go to the open mic. You know what I'm saying? Now we going to perform. We ain't going to the go-go. We ain't going to the parties. We going to actually like perform. Then it ended up being a thing. Then my homies end up like less and less of them started coming. Less and less of them started coming. And I ended up being the last one coming. And I was the only one consistent. And that's how I met guys like Odyssey, YU. They know me from there. Just being consistent, rapping my ass off. And Odyssey was like, yo, you need to come to the studio one day. And boom, came to the studio one day. We just got to making records. One of the records was the one I talked about. And yeah, he said, I'm gonna form a group with you and YU. And we did a song named Gully that was on one of his albums, Foot in the Door. And that was like the first record that we did together. And he said, we're gonna do an album, we're gonna go on tour, we're gonna go around the world. And that's exactly what we did. Yep.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
You perform solo and as a group.
Yeah.
What are some of the differences between performing as a solo artist and being a part of a group performing?
I like being in the group. Definitely. It's easier, I guess, to give off that impact. But I love performing on stage by myself, and I like performing my records as well. You know what I mean? And getting my point across. You know, songs like "Dead Presidents," Part 444.
Yeah, that's dope. The artwork is dope on all three of them joints.
Thank you, bro. You already know.
Yeah.
So, but "Dead Presidents,"
Who did
Part
the artwork?
444. My partner Sean Parler. Yeah, my partner in my company, One Force United. See that? One Force United. My partner in my company. He actually did that artwork.
So what is One Force United?
Well, that's just the name of our company, but One Force is really like 14th Street, and that's where we used to all link up and you know, have meetings and stuff and do our thing. So One Four, we just rechanged the name into One Force because we was all coming together and decided to start this company. So we just called it One Force. One Force United.
But what does the company do? What do y'all do?
Make merch, clothing, and distribute my music.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's just the name of you know, it's another my business representation. You know?
So now that you
So what kind of clothing do you say are y'all distributing?
Oh, it's called Culture Over Corporate. Yeah. I got the jackets. I got Y'all mind if I step off and get his jacket?
Yeah, yeah. I want to see
Yeah,
what you
Show
work
us,
with.
show us some stuff. You
Show
got.
what you
Show us your
working with.
wares.
Come on, Untitled, let's do it, baby. Show us that artwork, baby. Word up.
I should have sent him a
Because
message before.
I don't know who did that Mickey Mouse in the background, but I like that.
Yeah, I'm about to add. It was a question I had about that. I'm gonna type it in the
Yeah.
joint.
All right.
Because I see
All right.
the question I had. Y'all could ask it, but I was going to type it before and I forgot. I was
Okay.
seeing the dollar bill being burned, and I was like, "What's the representation? Mickey Mouse burning the dollar bill? That's what it looked like to me, anyway."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's that to do with the title?" Oh,
Okay.
that's dope.
So
when you look
explain
at the
to us.
jacket,
So we
Okay.
gotta see the back.
Yeah, me
All right, we gotta see the back.
We gotta
bro.
see the whole thing. All right.
feel
So
me?
that's the album. Okay. All
Mhm.
right.
You see, I'm coordinating, right? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yep,
You coordinate.
yep, yep.
You coordinate. All right. All right.
Oh,
Dope.
that's fire.
That's dope.
That's fire, bro.
That's
I
fire.
love it. I love it.
That's quality, man. You can tell that's a quality jacket.
That's craftsmanship.
La Blanco y Rojo.
Okay. Oh, word.
Oh,
Chip said, look,
Okay. I see the damn.
That's
Okay.
dope.
Yeah. I see it.
I got
Okay.
the name of my songs as Patches. You know what I'm saying?
I see that. That's dope.
Bar None alumni. Bar None
Okay.
alumni. After I was on Capital City Records and met Odyssey there, that joint
Okay.
closed down. I ain't had nowhere else to rap. So
Mhm.
our homegirl Mercedes was like, it's another spot up the street that was Bar None. And that's where I was up there with Raheem Devon and
Mhm.
Wes Felton and meeting a whole number of artists and performing on some like Black Thought type shit because they had the band in there every Monday. You know what I mean? So boom, Bar None alumni. Legends came out of Bar None. You know what I'm saying?
Fire.
That's, you know what I'm
mhm.
saying? So, you know.
That looks like quality,
That's
brother.
dope.
That's quality.
And I like the.
The logo.
So
Mhm.
where do you get where can people get your merch from?
Well, these are all samples right here, right now.
Okay.
I'm just trying to perfect the quality for the people before we put it out there.
Well,
Culture over corporate.
Well, let me ask you a question. When it's ready to go to the public, are you willing to come back on and let us know so we can spread that to the people? Because we want to give you an opportunity to sell your merch as well as your music. You know, that's what Powaful Impact is all about.
For sure.
Okay.
I just want to buy the black one.
I want that red one. That red one. That
that
red
one
was
is
is dope.
fire.
So
yeah.
Oh, I like
nice.
it great too.
Oh, that hoodie is dope.
I like
Word.
that hoodie is nice.
Yo, that's dope. Tell them the website or wherever it is, Bandcamp, whatever it is. Where did you get it?
Cultureovercorporate.com.
Okay. Now when it's ready,
Culture over corporate.
Well, now I'm gonna ask you a favor. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a favor in advance. Now when it drops, the merch,
fire.
The merch, when the merch drops, I want you to do, if you don't mind, do us a voice drop so that way, or come back on so that way we can go ahead and advertise the merchandise, because we definitely telling people about the music, but I think the craftsmanship and the handiwork that you showed us tonight, people need to see that, you know what I mean? Because that's an extension of who you are as far as Uptown XO culture, saying culture over corporate. You know what I'm saying? We need to get that love. So we want you to, if you got time, you got an opportunity, come on back so we can do that. You know what I mean? Yo, that's what I'm talking about. Go to the Olympics. So we want to
fire,
we want to get that message out there.
Not only that, I want to buy that jacket. So you got to come back on.
You got to come back on so we can give it the love.
When I'm talking about Big
that's
G,
gonna be my first purchase.
Yeah.
UCB, Rare Essence.
Say that again. Say that again. We got cut off. Say it again from the beginning.
When I was talking about Big G, how I sampled his voice, Slim Charles from The Wire. You know, this is his band right here.
Word.
So like like I said, my clothing brand is not about me. I'm trying to preserve a truth. These bands right here, these guys are the truth. This truth, one day, guess what? As time goes on, it may be forgotten about. Like the truth like the truth of Tupac is forgotten about, and Lil Yachty speak on that truth. Like he wasn't the truth when he was here, when he was in the present, you know, when he was in the physical. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
I want to preserve these truths in subliminal ways to strengthen the culture. That in the future, you know, they're gonna try to change the culture. When you look at DC, they definitely trying to change the culture. From city to city, you see the soul being removed in a small, subtle way. Every city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's
you
right.
knew that when Bill Clinton was on 125th Street. That's when it started.
Sylvia's ain't been the same ever since. Sylvia's
No.
has not been the same.
No.
Yo, you're funny. You're funny.
That's
bro.
what it is, though. He's speaking truth. He's
Truth
speaking
though,
truth to power.
it's funny. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
This shit, you know what I'm saying? Like it is. I'm looking at it like, damn, fucking did my thing with it. So
that smile speaks $1 million, brother. That smile speaks $1 million.
Yeah, it does. And you know what I love about this conversation tonight is that you're not only just exploring the artistic side of the music business, but you're also tapping to merchandising, because a lot of artists, they just focus on the music, but they don't realize the power of merchandising. I realize that with what you're doing. I see that Jay-Z is doing the paper planes thing. And we knew back in the 90s when we had the Johnny Blaze and so many different hip hop fashions, which it seemed to slowly, you know, move to the side. And I'm glad that I feel like there's a rebirth in the fashion industry. Not saying it went away completely, but seeing what you're doing, seeing what Jay-Z doing, seeing what so many other are doing, I think that's important as a business model, because we haven't really focused on the fashion industry. They use our name to grant credibility to their products, but we need to have more Black-owned businesses where we're having our own merchandise, whether it be sneakers, jerseys, jackets, and so forth. So I'm glad that you brought that out.
And that's what the album is about. It's about, like I said, it's not about my story with my music and my creation. Now I want to promote a mentality. Since the corporations, they already taken the vulnerable young youth and binding them contractually. While they don't even deeply rooted in any truth, so they can easily be swayed with the wind that they blow and be manipulated and represent things that's really not beneficial for our community. You know what I'm saying? So how many liquor brands can we have? And all the liquor brands and brands like that, it's cool for a rapper to have a liquor brand, but is that a brand that's going to be beneficial for our community? And it's a product that's going to move our community forward. Is it a product that is going to even create a new industry? So we got to ask ourselves things like this. This is only the beginning, because it's bigger than clothes too.
Of course, you know? Of course.
So the clothes is promoting a mentality, and when people see it, it gives them affirmations in a subtle way. You know what I'm saying?
That is the whole purpose of doing this. It is to create a lifestyle. We need a reset. We need a reset.
Right. And we can't unconsciously empower our oppressors. You know what I'm saying? So it's
That's right.
How many times did Ralph Lauren, I mean, shout out to Tyson Beckford, he got an opportunity from Polo and Ralph Lauren and Wooty Wop, you know what I'm saying? But like, of course, one fact, the Polo guys that was running up in there, the Polo gang, what's they called? Of New York.
Low Lifes.
Low Lifes. Of course, they was running up in there, grabbing everything. That's culture over corporate right there.
Exactly.
That is culture over corporate right there. We will run in there and take it if y'all, because y'all not going to sit up here and try to make money off of us. You want to make money off the poor people, and we ain't got nothing.
You know, I'm glad that you.
Their whole business structure is to make money off people that ain't got nothing.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you talk about the corporate over culture over corporate. Sorry about that, because I realized that with Gucci, where they had the blackface issue, where they had the sweater that looked like blackface, which was degrading to us as black people, and they hired Dapper Dan. You know, they wasn't. I don't feel like they were apologetic. They were just trying to find a solution to a problem, because Dapper Dan, we know him through hip hop. He's a hip hop icon as far as fashion is concerned, and I feel like that's what they were doing. And so, with that being said, can you elaborate on the culture over corporate movement, not only as in music, but I know you kind of showed us the fashion side, but can we dig a little deeper in that? Because I think there's a lot more to it than what we just heard right now. Can you kind of explain what the total vision is for the corporate over culture over corporate movement?
That main slogan that I just said was we don't want to unconsciously empower our oppressors and keep on getting the Fendis and the Guccis and having people who they look at like low lifes want to keep up with them. We don't want to keep up with the people that look at us like low lifes. You know what I'm saying? So let's create our own and empower our own, and let's even inconvenience ourselves and make ourselves feel uncomfortable even at certain times, refraining from wanting the norm and the things that's popular, and let's just go with the brands that something that's really going to come back to our community. Like they say, the black dollar leaves the black community in such and such time. The other communities dollar leave their community in such and such
6 seconds.
Exactly. So how can we improve that? And because we've had the mentality where as though we're not self-sufficient. We're in a state of vulnerability. We're sitting there being bullied, and we're asking a bully for the things that he's taking. He's only taking it because we're not standing up for ourselves. So once we take a stand in this way, not by killing them off, because we could have been did that, but you know, God got a plan for us. We're supposed to learn about ourselves through this challenge. Just like the individuals learn who they are they learn who they are when they tested in that way. They didn't even know that they could hit that hard. They knocked the bully out. You know what I'm saying? So you know, through those challenges, Black people, indigenous people, we've become great. We've tapped into our own oil, which is our creativity.
Exactly.
We've found out a way to be self-sufficient without laboring for a piece of paper that they made up to get what God made free in abundance for everybody. We can cut off the middleman now. You know what I'm saying? You know?
I agree.
So I think we should start that, because soon, if you're listening to the rich people of the world, the Elon Musk and the Bill Gates and the technologies and the products that have created new industries that are pushing the world forward to where as though the way things are now, they'll quickly be old. And if a person don't keep up with all these fast changes, then a person gonna get left behind. Cryptocurrency and all these industries, new terminologies, you know what I mean? It's getting harder and harder.
Technology.
NFTs.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to keep up. It's getting harder and harder to keep up. You know, my grandfather, he can barely send an email. You know, so every generation is going to go through a situation where it's a gap between the understanding of all of these new things is going to be too new. A person will have to be born into it to understand it. That's the youth. That's the young generation. So we got to inspire them to keep the morale as the world changes, as things become more convenient, as it becomes more convenient to, you know, you can order some pussy online. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
True. As the things that's bad for us come more convenient, let's keep our morale. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we got to put God first. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
As we go further and further in time, the government of the world who became the middleman, or what God made abundant, they want to erase God's laws at the end of the day and put in place laws that really go against God. They hate God.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
people that have been the descendants of slaves, the new Israelites,
Mm-hmm.
us, the new Israelites, us in the new Egypt of the West. I'm in the capital right here in DC. You know what I'm saying?
You are. You are.
The capital of the trickery. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It has
And
to
the
be
killer
moved.
part about being from the capital is y'all are the only place that has taxation without representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if you look at DC and you look at the states, it's like this is the rental office of the real estate of the country, and the 51 states are the units in that real estate in Washington, D.C. For this in the Western hemisphere of the world power, for this real estate that they conquered. This is the you know, when the tenants got complaints, they complain to the rental office and say, hey, we're in Michigan and the water's dirty. DC rental office, can y'all send a maintenance man up here and fix this?
Boom.
So this is the rental office where you go pay your bills and the taxes and file your complaints in the rental office in the apartment building in the real estate. That's what they did. This on the Western Hemisphere they conquered. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got the Vatican over there in the other side.
Oh, yeah.
You got London right there in the other. Then you got Israel. Oops.
No, you can talk about it. Talk about it.
Oops.
Talk about
No, talk about it. We on Powaful Impact. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Uptown XO. Let's go.
yeah.
You got Israel. You know what I mean?
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
We don't pull no punches here. We don't pull no punches here. All right.
Them is the sovereign places. Them is the sovereign places that the world conquerors of the world. They
Okay.
They stay there and they say, man, we can go to these places and escape punishment.
Mm-hmm.
We can go to this. I can go over to Israel and can't get locked up. I can do this. What Jay-Z said, political refugee asylum can be purchased.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
you know what I think about as you're talking about Black empowerment and so many different things that we talk about, even the experiences, what it is as far as people getting asylum in other countries. I think about that song where Jay-Z talk about the story of OJ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of meaning to that particular song because it deals with a lot of issues that we overlook, because he talked about the power of appreciation, like buying things that appreciate in value other than things that are that have a temporary value, like you buy like artwork and different things like that. And I think the missing message in the song is and making an investment in your community and making an investment in yourself and making an investment in things that will appreciate over time. I feel that that's something that we need to not only understand more so, but something we need to embrace as a community as well. And the reason I brought that up, because when you talk about merchandising, when you talk about Black empowerment and so many other things, I think we just need to continue to tap into that trajectory, because I feel like that's the next move for us. I mean, you can speak to that if you want, but I definitely feel that's something that we definitely need to tap into, is moving into that arena or positioning ourselves to be empowered in many different ways. What do you think about that?
You know, art reflect life, and a lot of the things that happens, the creators give the people a sneak peek into the production of the story of life, right? So when you see The Simpsons, you see things that pop out. You watch this cartoon, Family Guy, whatever, you see things like, wow, this is happening, and they made a cartoon about it months ago. You know, so you know, Scarface comes out, and then after Scarface comes out, everybody's a wannabe drug dealer. Well, everybody is a drug dealer. You know, so you see how art influences culture when it was one time that the culture wasn't influenced like that by art. one influence like that by art is that the culture itself was in a state of stillness and, and purity. And recently, in the last 100 years, when the plane came and the car came and these fast innovations, these things are still new, even though we've lived lifetime. But in the totality of our immortal life, that thing is still new. This lasted 100 years. How long has the commandments been around? You know what I'm saying? They've been around hundreds. They've been around plenty lifetimes. You know what I'm saying? They've lasted the test of time as far as being questioned or being tested or being, they've lasted the test of time. That's why they're still here. These things that we coming up with now haven't really lasted the test of time. A lot of things already happened and people forgot about them. So things gotta happen. Things gotta happen.
Well, kind of like what we're going through now with the COVID. I mean, it's happened on a global level before. It's just that it was a century ago, but it happened. And the same thing that we're doing now is the same thing they did then, because if you don't know the history and you don't pay attention, then you repeat it ends up repeating itself. So I think we bypassed the death toll from that pandemic. And this one is because we're doing the same thing. Everybody got tired of being in the house. So they needed to go, they wanted to be out and have parades and walk around without a mask. And the death toll was enormous. So since the pandemic happened, what have you done with all of that free time?
Made some more albums and sold some CMOS.
What kind of CMOS are you selling?
Purple, gold. I just did it because I had a lot of plans. I had the album drop, corporate came out, was doing shows, doing my own shows and stuff, and shows no more, so I had to do something, and that was just one of the things that I did. I was just positive. You know what I mean? 92 of the 102 minerals in your body. You need it. You got to stay healthy. You know what I'm saying?
So where do you get your CMOS from? Because we talked to YZ and YZ sells CMOS. So
I get it in the Caribbean market.
The decolonized CMOS. That's the name of his joint.
Yeah.
I like that.
What's the difference between the regular and the purple, Uptown? Just curious.
The purple is like the best, It has more minerals, and it's definitely like it's the best of the CMOS that's out there. Purple CMOS.
I know that during this pandemic, when COVID hit, in the beginning, man, that CMOS was selling off like crazy. The places that I was ordering from in Brooklyn, Uptown, there's a place, I don't know if you know, Nicholas and all of that. These places was selling out like nobody's business. You had to put it on pre-order. And then they were getting to the point where like you couldn't order it for delivery. You had to come to the store. Yo, it was madness, man. That thing was moving like gold. So I don't, anyway, I guess you could plug that as well. I don't know if you're selling that publicly or whatever, but that's out there.
Yeah, I'm just, that's not really a public thing, you know what I mean? It's just something that, I throw out there when I have it, and, something, a subtle hustle.
Brethren and brethren, sister and sister, empress and empress.
What I'm loving about this interview is we're just touching so many different spaces as in the culture, and it is so necessary, and I'm so happy that you are such a well-rounded man and are able to articulate so well the things that sometimes we can sound preachy doing, but
Yeah,
I've learned from you, so this is so dope.
that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? I'm here to learn, and I'm here to help somebody else learn. That's my purpose.
When it when it's all said and done,
Mm-hmm.
and you hang up your microphone,
Yeah,
what do you want your legacy to be?
something like Malcolm, something like Martin. You know what I'm saying? Something like Malcolm, something like Martin.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Fighting oppression, fighting, speaking truth to them devils,
All right.
chase them crazy bald heads out of town.
That's definitely something that's needed.
Chase them crazy bald heads right out of town. Yeah.
And since we're the Powerful Impact show, we always like to ask this question for all of our guests. Who are the three most influential people in your life that had the greatest impact in your life?
Moses and Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
All right. Word. No doubt.
Three people that had the most impact.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
Is there anybody you wanted to shout out tonight? Anything you want to share more about? I mean, we had the opportunity to talk about your merchandise, talk about your music, but there's anything that we just want to give you an opportunity to talk about that if it was not mentioned earlier.
Man, shout out to Diamond District, Odyssey, YU, my brother Lane Bilal, Elu, my brother Sniper B. We got an album coming out called Bumpy X. So
Okay.
if Malcolm X and Bumpy Johnson was in a rap group, then
Oh wow.
boom. So those albums are done. That's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
Me and AB album, Elu Volume 2. Everybody Ain't Like Us, Everybody Ain't Like You. That's another like brand that I have that's like empowering. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't like us, everybody ain't
Mm-hmm.
like you. You know what I'm saying? Elu. You know, equality basically. We all together, we all one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got more music coming. You know what I mean? But shout out to my brothers. Yeah.
Well, what I want to do, because I feel like you got a lot of things that's up and coming, and I feel like we got your story, but there's more to talk about, especially with your new merchandise that's getting ready to drop, which I greatly appreciate you showing us the samples. And I want to talk about the CMOS as well. I think there's a lot more to that we need to definitely dive into, which I think we'll have the opportunity to do as we go along. Okay. All right. I see you. All right. Yeah. Word up. So we definitely want to bring you back to talk about the merch once it drops, which you did share that you don't mind doing that. Is that fine with everybody on Powerful Impact? I want to make sure we're good on that. Bring you back on that so that way we can dive a little deeper on the merch.
Cool.
But more importantly, we definitely appreciate what you shared with us tonight. I want to give my panelists an opportunity to ask any additional questions they wanted to ask, but I just want to thank you in advance. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for telling us about your merchandise. More importantly, we thank you for telling us about your music.
Thank y'all for having me, man.
Absolutely.
My question would be, recently you did a show with Sarak. Are you on tour with her, or was just at a one tour date? And then second of all, who were some of the female MC hip hop artists that you're listening to or would recommend people go check out?
Yeah, that was a one-off date that we did. That's my sister right there, and I would hope to do a tour with her soon. It definitely would be a good look. And some of the female artists that I'm into right now, her, Sarah, of course. Mumu Fresh is another one of my favorites. Mamona Yusuf. Moo Fresh. If y'all heard of her?
Yeah.
Moo Fresh.
No, I haven't
No,
heard
I
her.
haven't
I
heard.
gotta check her out
But
for
I'm
sure.
writing that down right now.
Check her out.
I'm
Just
gonna definitely check her out.
type in Moo Fresh BET. She from Baltimore, but like Baltimore DC kind of close. To she was like always down here doing her thing, and
Mm-hmm.
so like I known her for a long time, but like she definitely like she's I done seen her. She's crazy MC, man. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, yeah, Moon and Fresh and Cyrock, they're my two like main female MCs I'm listening to. Definitely.
All right.
If you weren't doing hip hop, what is another professional career you would have pursued?
Um, Sports, probably sports. Definitely.
Which ones?
Football, baseball. Uh, Probably like I was drawn too, so like I was an artist, painter, and drawing before I was writing. So I perfected that craft as well. So that's another thing that I got, like some Basquiat type shit. You know what I'm saying? My stuff was in children's museums and all that when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
What's one word you would use to describe your latest project?
Culture Over Culture Volume 3.
Yeah, what's one word?
Very
SP, you
rare.
gotta mute your mic. SP, you gotta mute your mic. Very
Rare.
rare. All right,
Rare.
cool. I like
Because
that.
me and
Rare.
Odyssey never did a project like that before. Me and Odyssey never did it like a just me and him joint. You know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope.
We just
What's
did like all projects. So always think when I do albums, what do the people want? You know what I mean? Always try to give something. I think in the mind of a fan. The fans want to hear XO over Odyssey. They want to hear an album. You know what I'm saying?
wait?
That's
What do you
what.
mean? Explain that again. What do you mean by that? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, when I'm creating albums, sometimes I don't get into my own head. I don't try to be vain with it. I just try to like go at what did the fans want. Almost like a clothing designer. You know what I'm saying?
Got
I
you. I
do,
gotta appeal to
I do
them.
my albums like what do the people want? You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like
what's up.
the
And what
people
do they
want it.
need?
Yeah, I step outside of myself. I created XO. I'm Jamal, but Jamal created XO. What do the people want to hear from XO? The people want to hear an XO Odyssey album. They want to hear that. That never happened. Y'all in the group together. Y'all been making music together for years. How would an Odyssey XO album sound? So that product needs to be on the shelf from Jamal, the businessman. You know what I'm saying? That product needs to be on the shelf.
What's one takeaway or message you want people to get from this project or series as a whole when they're done listening to it? What's the message and takeaway?
Um, uh, Fight oppression. We in the last days. Fight for your freedom. Stand firm in who you are. Don't let go of who you are to fit in with the temporary normalities that the corporations try to impose on the youth that are in a state of vulnerability and are preyed upon. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. Definitely dope. Tell
But
tell us about. Sorry, what we saying?
no,
Sorry, I was going to say. Tell us about this culture over corporate series. Like, how did that come about originally? Like, how did you know? What did you know it was going to be part one, part two, part three? Did you have a grand scheme, or was it more organic? Like, how did this come
yeah,
about?
I did it like a clothing line. I said, the first line is going to be um, with this fabric of artist or this fabric producer, and that was Drew Dave, who produced this album. Drew Dave, you know what I mean? And then the second one was Kev Brown. People never heard XO over Kev Brown.
Legendary, Kev. Legendary.
Legendary. DC Dilla, that's what I call him. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's not even from DC, I still give him that.
One of the people be sleeping on how ill his bass lines are. They talk about Dilla's drums, Kev Brown's bass lines, phenomenal. Slept on.
He's one of the best. So, and then the same thing with Odyssey. You know what I mean? So these were just different. This was, and then I did all of the albums, and they were all done. And then I put out one by one. They was all done. Then I put out each one. You know what I'm saying? So
wait a minute. Are you serious? So
yeah.
hold up a minute. You had all of these sitting there, and then you just chopped it. It was like, all right, these are the first set for, because I worked with this person. These are the ones that I worked with this producer. Wow. Yeah. So this started before the pandemic or during the pandemic? Like, oh, man. Wait. Oh, man. It's a master. Yo, you got the master plan. You ain't playing over here. You had a 36-month plan.
Yeah. It's still
is there part 4 coming?
Nope. It's over. It's over. It's over.
Sorry, go ask me.
Oh no, that was just hard. That hurt my heart a little bit when he said it was over.
It's not over, but the trilogy, the musical trilogy is over.
Yeah.
And now, you know, the music has went into a cocoon, and it's transformed itself into something else.
Clothing line. And
then this is going to transform into something else. And then that is going to transform into something else. And then that is going to transform. That's the long-term plan with it. It's a marathon. It's not a, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I really enjoy, and I really like, it brings a smile on my face and my heart to see how each of you from the Diamond District develop and move. You know, my man over here starting a family, production, you over here doing clothing line, series, YU's over there doing photography, you know, because I'm on his IG, so photography, this and that. AYU, you promised me an interview months ago, bro. I still watching, I'm waiting. But anyway, so yo, I just love to see how y'all are developing, man. It's dope to see. And then when y'all, I can't, you know, everybody's always going to ask a question. And I'm gonna be the other groupie.
You're not going to get back together and do it.
I do want to see it again because I'm seeing how much development's happening solo. I'm really interested to see when y'all come back together, God willing, without this pandemic or whatever, and you know, you guys can really sit down together and really get it in again. It would be interesting to see now with the clothing, with the photography, with the family. Like, that's going to be bonkers.
Growth.
Yes.
With the growth.
They're going to do a documentary or something, a movie coming with a Netflix joint or something.
Man, Q-Tip one of the signers, man. The Rock Nation. He was in Rock Nation. Q-Tip one of the signers and all that. Like,
it could still happen. It could still happen again. It could still happen again. Like it ain't over. The story ain't over. The saga begins.
Right. So when I look at like value, and I said rare when you asked me that question, SP. I said rare, and the rarity, like that's how I gauge value. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't mind like not having like as many followers or. You know, I don't mind not being the most popular. I still know that what I got is this is some of the best stuff in the entire world because of its rarity. You know what I'm saying? This is a diamond that hasn't been seen by a lot of people, but it's still a diamond. You know what I'm saying?
And the quality. You talking like exclusivity. Not quantity, but quality.
Exactly. So it's okay for like me to have 10,000 followers and I haven't gone platinum yet, and you know I'm not like ripping and running the world. No, but this is still like some of the best stuff in the actual world, though. Like this is some of the best stuff in that. This is some of the best hip hop from like Diamond District, me and YU. Somehow in the world, put us up against anybody, and the content, the subject matter, and what we're saying. That alone just puts us above so many people because if you listen to what they're saying, it's more about the vanity in what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? You give us a track record like we speaking for the people. You know what I mean? We're touching hearts. You know what I mean?
March on Washington.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? All of that. How did this is my last question, and then SP could go, man. But I just want to ask, how did the Redux album come with all of these digging in the crates producers and all of that? How did that come about? Because I never really seen like crews do that with other people's acapellas and then officially release it. You know what I mean? Except for like the Mary J. Blige remix album. Besides that, you know what I mean? But I've never seen that done before.
The label did that. Mellow Music Group, they did that, and
smart, very smart.
They re-released it. They just re-released a new version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it on vinyl, no doubt, definitely. It's fire.
Yeah, but the label did that. I didn't even know they was gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? But I was honored, like, to have like Large Professor. I'm on the joint with him. Oh no,
Diamond D.
You know what I'm
Or
saying?
Finesse.
Right. So 14 KT. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely. So, but man, listen, y'all have to get into this album. I can tell y'all haven't heard this album. Listen, this record right here, Dead Presidents, Part 444.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
You gotta hear the album, Culture Over Corporate. You know what I mean?
Soon as I get off here, I'm going to go and listen to it, and then I am going to tag you and tell you what I think.
Yeah, Dead Presidents, Part 444. And you see like Jay-Z from Dead Presidents, and you see Jay-Z in 444. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother like brand right there. You know what I mean? Promoting the evolution. You know what I'm saying? Promoting that. But the song don't even talk about that. The song is like radical as a motherfucker. Public Enemy type shit. Radical. You know what I mean? And you know that's what I'm standing on. I'm trying to ruffle some feathers and wake some people up.
We might have to play that song in the background for your episode. Right, SP? Look it up. How did you decide who to collaborate with on this particular project regarding features, producers, etc.? Like, how did you determine that?
On my Culture of Cobra Volume 3?
3, yes.
Yeah. One of the guys that I wanted to be like a home, like I got 2 features on there really. Well, I got YU on there, I got DJ Alizé. I got all the guys who was around in that era, the True School era. That's what the open mic was on UN 11th Street. It was called True School. They used to be going back and forth with Ninth Wonder crew, like y'all took our name and but they was all together. Ninth Wonder and the other DJs that was like responsible for that crew. But I'm affiliated with that crew, True School. And you still there? What was the question again?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just saying, how did you pick the producers, the features?
Oh, yeah.
You answered.
Yeah. So I wanted all of the features to be like guys from like that era. So I met Odyssey around that True School era. I met YU in the True School era. And my man Maserati Black. That's who I started going to the open mic with. I started going with him, and my guy Tragic on Faith, man. You know, I was doing the same thing with him, rapping with him in that era. When we had nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, DJ, I was working with Wale at the same time. He was playing on the radio station, 93.9, playing Wale records, and I just see him coming in the store. I had him on the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else? I got U Street Face on the album, which was another like the DC version of like DMX. You know what I'm saying? But like he went AWOL with it. You know what I'm saying? And he's such a great poet. He's like a poet, but like he's the guy that rapped on Bar None Alumni. He's the poet on Bar None Alumni that does the poem at the end. And he was always killing it, murdering it down there. Like that talent, man, is so rare. Nobody knows him. like nobody. This is a piece of speck of gold that's under the dirt. And I just so happen to have a radar that can track the gold underneath of the dirt. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I kind of did with this album. Like, cause a lot of the features, a lot of people who usually they don't know them. It's not like I got a feature to try to get like their fan base and do that type of thing. I ain't do that with this project. You know what I mean?
Got a little complicated question here. The one-word game again. What's one word you would use to describe each member of the Diamond District group individually, including yourself? What's one word for each one of y'all? I asked you about the project. You said red. What's one word that describes YU, Odyssey, and you? Uptown XO.
YU is illest. I would say that about YU. He's the fucking. I'd say best.
I agree. I'd
say best when I say. A lot of guys don't even have the fucking humility to sit up there and say another man is better than him. I got it. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to say that early in the interview, but I was like, I can't say that. He's my He's one of my favorites out of y'all. I can't find and Odyssey and you too.
He's my favorite.
YU's ridiculous, and he probably has the least amount of material, which is interesting. He has the least amount of material out, but it's so damn. Them 2 albums.
Me and YU got some shit coming out. That's crazy as shit.
So I'm bothering him. I'm like, when are you doing the interview? And he said, yo, I'm doing it. And then he went ghost. I'm like, why you? You one of the illest, one of my favorites, dude. That Before Taxes. Fire. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm cutting off your answer. My bad. But yeah, best. I like that. Like, illest too, though, is dope. Best and illest.
Like, and Odyssey is like inspirational. I would say that about Odyssey.
And very creative too. Yeah, inspirational. Yeah. And motivational, right? Like hand business. Business.
Yup. Business, hustle.
That dude, entrepreneur. Those are like the words for him. Like that dude's mind is, he's a freaking genius, man. Shout out to Odyssey. My bad. Anyway, for you now, that's probably the hardest, right? Self-praise is no praise, but it don't matter. You gotta go Uptown. Let it go. Let it loose.
The martyr, dog.
That's dope. falls in line with King and Malcolm. The revolutionary too, kind of out of the crew.
I love
everybody is, but I get that you attack the mic very aggressively. You're not tiptoeing around or nothing. Like anytime you get on there and them diamond dishes, like, oh yeah, that's XO. There he go again. All you missing is a bark. like that's you though. Yeah, very assertive, aggressive. That's what I would say. Whenever I hear the diamond dish, it's like, oh yeah, they go Uptown. He ain't playing. And you letting them know like you're not playing either. Like no matter what they do, if you come on at the end of the track, you like, yo, I have to bust the rhymes this bad boy here. I love that. Marta, I like that. Boom. I'm taking one for the team.
Nah, real life though. Real life. Definitely.
And what was the last question? Everyone is the last question, right? Oh, what was it? What are some of the similarities? This is the last question, SP, I promise. What are some of the similarities and some of the differences between each member of the Diamond District crew? Odyssey, YU, and yourself. What are some of the similarities, some of the differences between y'all members? Stylistically, personally, whatever you feel, just whatever you want to talk about.
Similarities, I guess, we all do music. That's our main similarity. We all subscribe. We all have the same artistic discipline. That's the thread that binds us together. Without that thread, we wouldn't even know each other. Because I lived a different lifestyle. I'm like from the streets and was involved with street activities and all that. They was never involved with you know what I mean? They were just like good people, you know what I'm saying?
And musically inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Me, I was involved in criminal activities and all that. You know what I mean? But
no, allegedly, glass jars and all, allegedly.
Definitely.
So
but being around those guys and being around because rapping got me around those guys and got me around other people too that having conversations, we exchanging information. So it helped me grow as a man, getting outside of like my regular peer group, being that young. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It has been. This is. I'm new to you,
Yeah.
and so this is the first time I was introduced to your music. So I've been going through your discography, and it is so nice to have met you
Yeah.
and be able to put the person who wrote such a prolific album. I love the album. Um, I'm going to listen to the one you told me to, and I'm definitely going Dead Presidents 444 and
Yeah.
Moo Moo Fresh. I
Yeah.
wrote them down just to make sure I didn't forget.
And
Um,
go to uptownxo.com to get all my music from like, the music that my mixtapes and stuff like that, that's what like had me very popular back in the day. I was with Kenny Burns, who put Wale on, and I did some albums underneath him. 1110. I did an album called 1110, a monumental 1110 with Studio 43. Kenny Burns, he was the vice president of Rockefeller Records. So I was with him for 2 years, and 1110, that's one of my best albums. Odyssey produces on that album. My brother AB produced on that album. And Soulful, who produced The Culture of a Corporate, he produced on that album. So that's one of my best albums. And Realmatic, which is produced by Best Kept Secret, Tone P, which Wale producer as well. That's some of my best music, my oldest stuff. Even though the stuff I got right now is, of course, it's dope. But like,
That's fire.
when the artists first come out, like they first shit, like In the Rough.
The hunger.
Right, like In the Rough era. Like I re-recorded In the Rough around that same time I dropped those albums. You know what I'm saying? Those albums came out around In the Rough. Yep. So
did we ask? Wait, sorry. Are those available on physical? Those things you're talking about, is that physical or just digital?
Those mixtapes?
Yeah. Yeah. Any physical copies?
Most of those are exclusively on my Bandcamp. They're not even on iTunes and none of that.
Okay.
Some of my best stuff.
Might have to release
them. Give us all of your platforms so that people who want to buy your music can get to it.
cultureovercorporate.com and uptownxo.com. Yep.
Yo, did we ask you how you got your name? Does it have any special meaning?
Uptown XO is like unknown origin, you know what I'm saying? Like representing like the show, that impact, right? But that impact that's unexpected. But that unexpected impact, like that like that knockout impact, you know what I'm saying?
The X Factor.
The blow that they didn't see coming.
Okay.
I'm the blow that they didn't see coming. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I didn't know that. And then where you from? So Uptown, the unexpected factor.
Right. Then I was XO before, but like too many people started taking my name. One guy from the games label Black Wall Street. His name was XO, light skinned guy. So I remember me and him jumped on the phone one day, like, how we gonna work this out, dog? Like, you got my name. When you post a song, some blogs thinking you me. When I post a song, some blogs thinking I'm you. Our songs get mixed up and stuff. Or a video come out and somebody may say, that ain't the XO I know. So I just renamed it. It's only one XO from Uptown. All them guys from Canada, this, that, and the third. I don't know. I was the first XO.
Original. Now that things are opening back up, where's some places you want to tour, or where's some places you have never been that you'd like to go?
I want to go to Africa, South America, you know what I'm saying? Mexico.
Dope.
Yeah, but I've been,
I just want to.
Would you say, SP?
Are we frozen, SB? You frozen?
I don't know, am I?
You were saying
Am I
something and then you
frozen?
stopped. You were saying something to Uptown and then you stopped.
Oh, because I recognized my audio was going, so I just stopped.
Oh no, I can hear you.
I just wanted to thank you so much for doing this. I think you covered so many topics that there was gems just throughout, especially with our communities. I am a firm believer we need a reset, and I think you're doing such a wonderful job at promoting that reset.
Yeah.
I want to we appreciate everybody for tuning in to Powerful Impact Podcast with SP, and we still got Nev in the house, and Soul Rack had to slide out for an emergency. I want everybody to subscribe to the YouTube channel to stay connected with the upcoming episodes. Follow us on social media, Powerful Impact everywhere. Powerful Impact. Our goal has always been to be more than music. It's more of a lifestyle, and you fit into that just beautifully. I love everything you're doing. That merch is going to be fire. Whenever it come out, I am getting that black jacket. I don't care what happens.
Okay.
And I want to thank you so much for coming.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Uptown XO. Yeah, thanks, Uptown
Any
XO.
final word? Any final words before we sign out?
Follow me on Instagram, Uptown XO _Elu, Uptown XO _Elu. Follow the website, cultureovercorporate.com, and get the music, get the merch. Go to YouTube, look up all the videos. You know what I'm saying? Go to uptownxo.com, get all the back catalog. And I got new music coming soon. I got music out right now. Culture Over Corporate Volume 1, 2, and 3 is out on all platforms right now. Make sure y'all go get that.
And please make sure you go and get it, because when you find people who are for the culture, you should support them, because everybody's complaining about what's not happening. When you find something that's happening, you need to reach out and you need to support in all ways.
That part.
All
man.
right.
Powerful
This
Impact.
is powerful. Boom.
Yeah. And y'all out there, y'all make a powerful impact now to the listening audience. Make a powerful impact each and every day. Amen. Peace, Uptown.
All right.
Being dope.
Peace out.
Thank you so much. We out.